We celebrate the heroes of the world for all the tireless hard work during this pandemic. Our gratitude towards their contributions and hard work who selflessly give themselves to others. We are proud to salute all our healthcare workers for the great and excellent work during this pandemic. Here we begin our new episode, A Day in Life of Doctors.
Hi everyone, welcome to the new episode of Areta's Club. We dedicate this month to unsung heroes of our country. The guest for today's episode is Dr. Sumita Mathur, who is a practicing consultant for the past 20 years. She has done MBBS and double post-graduation from a very renowned college and currently owns a private hospital in Jaipur.
Okay, so yes, let's start the conversation. So yeah, the first question that I had for you was, ma'am, that COVID has unfortunately taken a lot of lives, but more importantly, it's the misinformation that has also affected people. For example, now that the vaccines are out, there are a lot of stereotypes or misinformation regarding the vaccines also, and a lot of people, they don't know fully about the vaccines, and there are also certain side effects that people are assuming basically right now. I've also heard a lot on social media that this vaccine is better than, some people say Covaxin is better, some people say Covishield is better, some say that there is an issue of blood clotting that can happen from vaccines. So can you give us a little clarity on that so that people can make better decisions while getting vaccinated?
First of all, it is very essential to take the vaccine, 2 doses of vaccine. Whichever is available to you, there's not much of a difference between the 2 vaccines which are available to us right now. And Covishield is also very effective against COVID-19, and Covaxin is also almost equally effective. And these days, it has been seen that for the Indian strain, Covaxin is supposed to be more effective. Like Covishield is effective against the UK variant, but it's a South African variant. But Covaxin is effective against both of them, and also effective against Indian variant. Both are effective against Indian variant. So to a lesser extent as compared to the earlier strain of the COVID-19, but it is effective. It's better to take the vaccines rather than not taking them, because if you don't take it, the mortality or the probability of getting a severe disease is higher. And after taking the vaccine, even if you get the disease, it is mild to moderate at the most. The chances of mortality is reduced to a great extent. So it's better to take vaccines. And Covishield, as you all know, that it's taken between 6 to 16 weeks. According to the latest recommendation, it has been extended to 16 weeks now. And Covaxin should be taken, the second dose should be taken in 4 weeks.
Okay.
So 2 doses are must for both the vaccines. So if you have taken Covishield, you have to take the second dose of Covishield also. That is the same goes for Covaxin.
Yeah, it is obviously, ma'am, stressed, and it is said that whichever vaccine is available, you should take it. But also there's a lot of rumors going on about its side effects. So do you think there are any significant side effects?
Actually, there are mild side effects like soreness at the side, myalgia, malaise, like fever, mild fever, and all these can be there. But these go in few days, like 2 to 4 days. These symptoms go, and if any of these symptoms persist for a longer time, then you should consult your physician. And the serious side effects like clotting and all are very, very rare as compared to the COVID disease, in which clotting is manifold increased. So all these clotting disorders, which are rumored to be caused by vaccines, many fold more common with the COVID disease. So it's better to get vaccine and reduce that chance of contracting the disease and contracting the severe disease. So and everything has a minimal side effect, like anything cannot be side effect free. So but the incidence is so less that it is better to take vaccines than not to take it. I have seen many cases in our family only where the whole family is getting it. Two of the elderly people who who had been vaccinated, who had taken 2 vaccines, they are not getting the disease. Even when the other family members are affected and they are roaming about freely in the house and all, like even then they are not getting affected. So I think the vaccine is effective.
Yes, ma'am, that's actually very true. My grandfather actually took the vaccine. My grandmother also taken the vaccine, and they are both diabetic. And there was also this rumor going around that if you have pre-existing conditions like diabetes or heart disease, so you should not take the vaccine. But it was all fine. Like I also think that taking the vaccine in these cases is safer. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. If there is a coexisting disorder like any cardiovascular disease or diabetes, then it's all the more essential to take the vaccine, because in these cases the complications of COVID-19 are much more severe. If there is a coexisting disease like diabetes or hypertension or something like that, because the complications of the disease are much more severe. So it's better to take the vaccine. Such people are all the more in need of the vaccine. So they should be vaccinated and on priority.
So my question is, ma'am, like if people get infected, they get scared really easily. They don't know what to do. So my question is that if anybody is infected, what's the first step they should take?
First of all, what are the symptoms of the COVID that people should be aware of? And that is soreness of throat or runny nose or fever. Or fatigue, myalgia and all. If they are having this, or pain abdomen, this second variant, this new variant is causing increasing cases of it's presenting with pain abdomen and diarrhea. Confused like whether they are suffering from enterocolitis or it's COVID, and then when they get tested, they come COVID positive. So whenever there is any such symptom, they should first isolate themselves, consult their physician. Please do not self-medicate, because self-medication has led to this mucormycosis and all these complications. So first consult your physician. He will do the needful. He will prescribe the needed medicines. Investigations are needed at that point. He'll tell you and get you investigated. So it's better to consult your physician first. And also isolate yourself, because many cases are, if the physician advises for COVID RT-PCR, get it done. And even if it's negative, you should isolate yourself, because in 30% of cases, it comes negative in spite of you having disease. So it's better to isolate yourself till the symptoms are, you are symptom free for at least 3-4 days. So, and take the medicines according to physician.
So, ma'am, I was wondering, in the next question I wanted to ask you that the workload on doctors and all the medical staff in general has increased a lot. Like I was seeing a video recently which showed that in a hospital in Delhi, the work shift of doctors is like 16 hours long and there is no break in between. So conditions are really serious right now, and it has put a lot of pressure mentally and physically also. So how has it affected your work, and how are you dealing with that?
Yeah, actually ours is not a COVID center as such. We are dealing with COVID patients on outdoor basis. Now that COVID patients, really daily you get to see COVID patients. So we prescribe them and explain to them whatever is needed and how they should deal with it, and what medicines they should take, and how not to get converted into a severe disease, what precautions, what steps they should take, and what monitoring they should do, like pulse oximeter, checking their oxygen level every 5 to 6 hours and all. But at the bigger COVID centers where there are patients admitted, the things are really bad for doctors and health workers, because they have to work for 8 to 12 hours at a stretch in PPE kit where they are sweating inside like anything. And it's really draining physically, mentally also, because when you see so many serious patients and some patients, few of them dying and all, it affects, after all, you're a human being and it affects you mentally also. So, and you have also got a family back there at home. where you have to go, and intention that they should not catch infection from you and all. So even my husband also works at a COVID center, and he's a radiologist. So day in and day out, he is getting CTs, 75, 80 CT scan COVID patients and all. So we are all in the same boat actually. So it's very essential to keep a positive attitude and take a healthy diet so that your immunity is maintained. Keep yourself happy and pursue your hobbies in your free time. Whatever free time you get, take adequate rest and pursue some hobby so that mentally your like attention is shifted to something better in which you are interested. So it's very relaxing to do something in which you are interested, like pursuing your hobbies. And it's like it's rejuvenating for ourselves. If we pursue we can face the challenges that COVID-19 is bringing forth. So this way we can handle the physical and mental challenges, and we are handling since 1 year and surviving.
Ma'am, and also I came to know that you're an artist. That's really great, ma'am.
That is my hobby. Whenever I'm very like mentally worked up, I resume to the painting and all.
So that also must have really helped you.
In last
in
1 year.
Shifting your focus.
Yeah, shifting focus. Yeah. That is the main aim of painting and drawing. That it is so involving, engrossing that our focus is totally like shifted to that. So your brain is relaxed for a few hours, and then you are again ready to see the patients. Because that people are not very careful about wearing masks, and also we are always like in tension that we might catch the infection. But we have to see the patients, because if someone is coming from far off and they are having a genuine problem, then you can't deny treatment to them. So we have to see whether they are coming with 10 attendants, 4 attendants. Someone is wearing masks, some people are not wearing masks. So, but we can't help it, and we have to see. We have to help the patients. And many of them turn out to be positive after that. So, but we take care and we keep ourselves mentally happy and physically fit.
So, ma'am, my next question is, like, ma'am, we have seen social media, there are much more videos like that where patient get aggressive towards doctors and they panic and they get aggressive towards doctor. So, I want to ask you that, have you been in the situation where you've seen the patient getting aggressive towards doctor, and how do you deal with it?
Because the patients sometimes it's very the course of COVID-19 is very unpredictable. So sometimes patient is okay, he seems okay, like it's happy hypoxia is a terminology in which patient is hypoxic but he seems to be okay. They bring the patient in that condition and they think that the patient was all right when we came in, and now suddenly they have said that he's very serious and we have to take him on ventilator. So they naturally get aggressive, that they don't understand the exact condition of the patient. So we have to like patiently explain to them that pulse oximeter is showing this much oxygen level. He seems to be okay, but the oxygen level is really low. And then we put down BiPAP and all. And even then, if the patient does not respond, the oxygen level doesn't come in 90s, then we have to take on ventilator and all. So now with so much of like awareness, now people are getting that the course of this COVID-19 is very unpredictable, and they understand. If you explain to them, like prior to admitting the patient, you have to explain everything, that we will keep hope alive and we will work for the best in the best interest of the patient. But still, we can't say anything. This course is very unpredictable. Sometimes the patient suddenly collapses because of the complications going on inside. So some patients respond well to the treatment. Other patients do not. Same treatment they are getting, but every patient is different. So aggressive patients actually have to be dealt. Some are very rowdy, but most of them understand. So not a problem that way.
Yes, ma'am, exactly. And also, ma'am, I've noticed, or rather, this is my own personal observation, but I think that second wave के वजह से ज़्यादा deaths हुई है compared to the first wave. And ma'am,
No, actually the mortality rate of the second wave is less.
it is less. Okay.
Infection rate of this, the infection rate of this is higher than the first COVID-19 virus. So the infection rate is very high. So we are seeing so many mortalities. But the mortality rate, like infection to mortality rate, if we calculate, then it is less than the previous variant.
Okay, so a lot more people are getting infected, but mortality rate is lesser than the first wave.
Mortality rate is because less persons were infected in the first wave, so we got to hear less about less mortalities. And now so many people are getting affected, so naturally we hear more about the deaths. So, but the mortality rate is less actually. Mortality rate is lesser than the first wave.
So I was actually not aware of that because all of the news suddenly it all hyped in these 2-3 months.
Actually, it is spreading very far and wide. No, this time. Previously, I think rural population was comparatively spared, and they actually used to ask us that whether it's real or not. Like the COVID infection is a rumor or is it real? Have you personally seen any patient of COVID? Have you got any relative suffering from COVID? So they used to ask these questions that गांव में तो नहीं होता and all. But this time, everybody knows that COVID is there and everybody has got some or the other member affected of their family and some or the other known dying of it. So now they realize that it is for real. It's not a rumor. But because of the spread, because it spread very rapidly, this variant, the infectivity rate is very high of this variant.
Yeah, true. That's why we're hearing a lot of news now. And even around us, not only the media, but also around us, our relatives, our people that we know.
There were so many factors, for this second wave. People also got so casual. They thought that COVID has gone. So in February and all, you could see the patients roaming about without masks. Even government had to stop all the lockdowns and all because for the lack of livelihood, people were suffering so much. So lockdown had to be broken. So and people started gathering for marriages, for all these functions, rallies and all, Kisan rally, election rallies, and you could see in those rallies that people were not wearing masks. Most of them were not wearing masks. They were not maintaining any social distancing, and in all these religious gatherings also, the attitude was not very good. So it was it was very inevitable. And the virus, the natural course of every virus, every RNA virus is that it undergoes mutation. Even influenza virus, it undergoes mutation. Every year a new strain is there. So in US and all, where it's compulsory to get the influenza vaccine, they change the vaccine every year. You have to get the shot every year because this is the natural tendency. So it was following its natural tendency. It mutated again and again, and it gave several such mutations gave rise to a new variant. So that was also a cause of spreading so widely, because sometimes the mutation is such that it helps the virus to spread, but not every time the mutation can be increasing the infectivity. So, in the course, sometime in future, it may mutate such that the infectivity rate goes down. It becomes less dangerous. Yeah. So the mutations are inevitable. And it is sometimes for the better of the virus, and sometimes it's not good for the virus. So this time it was very in favor of virus. So like anything. Till date, 2.7 crore have been infected in India with COVID, and 2.4 crore have recovered.
Yeah, actually, and these cases are not being highlighted in media also. Only the negative cases are being highlighted. So that is creating a lot of fear and all amongst.
Yeah, only 25 to 30 lakhs are active cases in India right now. So they should show that so many have recovered also. Out of 2.7 crore, 2.4 crore have recovered. So people should keep a positive attitude, and this positive attitude goes a long way in recovering also, because immunity is all about our, like, if we are very tense and panicky and all, then there is a hormone, steroid hormone, which is secreted in our body in situations of panic and all. So the secretion increases, and steroid hormone, when it increases, it decreases our immunity. So the virus is very happy that now the patient can't fight me, and it's like anything. So if you keep your attitude positive, that I'll recover, I'm sure I'll recover, and you take a healthy diet and whatever, then you won't proceed to the severe version of the disease.
Yes, ma'am. That's actually really great advice. And also, ma'am, there is also news coming that a third wave is going to enter India. So what do you think we can expect from the third wave?
Yeah, it might be more infective for kids, for small children and all. But let's see. We should aim at stopping the third wave coming into India. So it has started in Singapore. Government should take steps to stop all the flights and all going to and fro from Singapore to India. So we should stop this third wave from coming here, because all our health personnel and workers and all are very tired now. They don't want the third wave. And nobody wants a third wave now. And we can prevent it if we wear masks and maintain social distance and all, and we all take vaccines and all. We can, to a far extent, we can prevent it.
Some patients are recovering from COVID, but there's this new thing that is coming up right now, which is black fungus, as you mentioned. So can you tell us about that also, and what can we do to not prevent but to recover from prevention also and recovery also, in a sense?
Yeah, actually, the first thing is because in this second wave, people used to take steroids indiscriminately. Like they used to, even in villages, I think some Chola Chap doctors and all, they are also involved in treating patients, and they routinely, even without COVID also, their first line of treatment is steroids. Whenever you go to a Chola Chap with fever, they'll give you steroids as first line of treatment, so that your symptoms are suppressed and you are happy that this doctor is very good and their practice goes on. So the indiscriminate use of steroids without the prescription of a proper doctor, this has main role to play in this thing, mucormycosis, because this mucormycosis caused by mucormycetes, it's the spores are all over our environment, like it's in the air, it's in the soil. So if you go to the garden and dig in the soil, there are these spores are there. So, but our bodies, like if the resistance is good, the spores they don't cause infection, because the macrophages and all, they attack as soon as they enter the nose. The macrophages will attack and they'll control it. But with administration of steroid, the resistance, body immunity goes down, and diabetes, like the sugar level goes up, because the insulin resistance goes down, the liver and all does not respond to insulin and all. So this fungus gets a chance to grow in our body. So if it enters through nose, it first affects the sinuses, and if it's not controlled, then it will go to the orbit, it will affect the eye, and if it's still not controlled, it will go into the brain, and then it will cause death. So it's a very dangerous thing, and it spreads from this to this within hours, or even in one day it can go to brain, from nose to brain. So it spreads very fast. So it has to be caught at the first symptom. Like if you have got a stuffy nose, and if you have got swelling over the face, like on one side of the face you have got swelling, or over the eyes and all, you should immediately consult your doctor. You shouldn't think that let's see what happens to the swelling, let's see if it persists tomorrow. By tomorrow it can reach to the brain also. So this is the thing with mucormycosis, that it is very debilitating, and very, like, it spreads very fast, so the mortality rate is very high. And right now we have got around 8,000 cases of mucormycosis in India, in which Maharashtra tops the list with 2,000 cases.
As you said that it is also happening due to the medication, the type of medication that is used.
Due to medication and oxygen also. When like the medical grade oxygen is filtered again and again, and it's purified, and all the containers are also sterilized, and it's taken care that the oxygen is of good quality. And when it is given to one or two patients, then we maintain the water, the humidifier through which the oxygen comes. That is also maintained and all. But with so many patients coming in, when the industrial oxygen also came into picture and all, no, so the purity of oxygen was it's not sure that it was very pure. And then there might be fungus spores in that oxygen only. And the humidifiers, the water in the chambers through which the oxygen comes, that has to be changed again and again. And it should be distilled water and all, no, your normal saline, fresh normal saline, not with tap water or something like that, which in all the centers I think it was not maintained. So and the fungus got this route of spreading to the patient. So this oxygen and this steroid, indiscriminate use of steroid, these are the two main causes of.
So ma'am, are the cases mostly from rural or urban, or are they a mix of cases?
All over, because these spores are everywhere, even in our gardens. Like if we are doing gardening, we should take care that we wear gloves and all. In our refrigerators, the food which is decaying there, that contains fungus. If we should resist smelling the food which is showing fungal growth, we should not smell that food. The spores will enter into our nose. So all these things we should take care. And we should clean our houses, our refrigerators. The rubber lining we can see in the grooves, black thing is depositing. We should scrub it with detergent and all. We should take it out. We should throw all the decaying food and the leaves decaying, compost piles, and all these are sources of this mucormycosis. The spores are all over. But your resistance should be good so that you don't catch that infection. But when the COVID-19 infection is going on, then the virus itself reduces your immunity. And on the top of it, if you are diabetic, that further reduces your immunity. And if you're taking steroid, so all these factors, they reduces your chance of fighting the infection of mucormycosis.
So, ma'am, my question for you is, ma'am, what is the positive message you would like to give to our listeners who are listening us?
Positive message is that take care of your health, eat healthy food, and keep a positive attitude. We will definitely overcome all these waves and strains and all. And vaccines, as we are getting influenza shots and all every year, this COVID vaccine will also be changed every year. With the new strain, we'll get a new vaccine. So we will overcome this infection, and eventually it will get milder, or not always be like this. So the situation will improve for better. Yeah, like it will change for better. And we will overcome together, maintaining all these protocols of masking and social distancing and all. So this infection will be overcome eventually.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable time. You are a true hero and should be recognized as one. Much love to you. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, goodbye. Stay home, stay safe, guys.